Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Thanks, Elliot.
Can I ask everyone to take their seats, please? Including my parents who are still chatting. I see them. Hi, my name's Bill Resnick.
And I'm Michael Stubbs.
And we're honored to welcome you all to the 2018 Socrates Benefit Dinner as co-chairs.
As Bill asked, please be seated and begin enjoying your first course. We know that for some of you, this is your first time at the Aspen Institute. For many of others of you are longtime members of the Institute community and supporters of the Socrates Program, and it is wonderful to see you here again.
So we're honored to be here tonight, and I have to say that we get to celebrate two of our favorite things, the Socrates seminars. I've participated in probably about a dozen over the last 15 years, and it's like a great mini graduate seminar and with wonderful, bright people who are changing the world in many ways. And the other thing that we're really happy to celebrate are Marc and Jane Nathanson, our great friends. We've been family friends for about 20 years, and Marc and Jane gave us the best engagement party when we were getting married. So we're very happy to be here for them and their family who are here.
Thank you. Yes. Nathanson family. Yes. Thank you. Thanks to your generous support, we have exceeded our goal and raised over $336,000 tonight for the Socrates Program. As dinner co-chairs with Laura and Gary Lauder, we cannot thank you enough, and we're very excited about what the future holds for the program.
And at this time, it's our pleasure to welcome up to the stage the co-founders of the Socrates seminars, without whom we would not be here tonight celebrating this, Gary and Laura Lauder.
Thank you, Michael and Bill. This is such an honor, and thank you all for being here. It is very important to the Socrates Program. This comprises an important part of our budget and an important part of our energy for the year. So I'm going to just start with a small anecdote from my own life, which is when I was 18 in 1980, you can do the math, I was with my parents here in Aspen, and my dad had just discovered my parents had discovered the Institute 2 years prior, fell in love, joined the board, bought some property from the Institute, built a house, and it was our first time, disembodied voice. So, okay. Sorry, I couldn't resist. So there was a session that was created for the kids of the people associated with the Institute, sons of trustees or participants or whatever, and it was just a day or two, and it had a really profound impact on me. And so I thought I would ask, so in addition to saying thank you for supporting Socrates here, many of you have children or grandchildren who are of appropriate age for Socrates or teen Socrates. And so, send them to us, because in fact, Socrates is a great way to sample what the Institute has. And and even if they don't go beyond Socrates, Socrates itself is this never-ending, constantly refreshed source of inspiration for so many of us. So with that, I will hand you over to my better half.
Thank you. I do not have nearly as deep a voice. I want to add my welcome to all of you. This is such a special night for us. We are so appreciative to every one of you because your generosity enables the scholars to participate. So I wanted to ask all the folks who are doing Socrates, could you raise your hands? Woohoo! Bravo. I have a special welcome tonight also for our daughter, Eliana Lauder, who's participating in Socrates this year, and all of her Duke friends and one Santa Clara friend. And I'd also like to express deep appreciation to Dan Porterfield. Dan and I, who's the new CEO of the Aspen Institute, Dan, one of Dan's very first calls to someone who was very passionate about the Aspen Institute was to me asking me about this program. Now, that's a little different than it used to be in the past. As many of you know, we've been through a rocky road with this program, and Dan, we so appreciate your early support and your ongoing support. I also want to say a special thank you to Elliot Gerson. Elliot, you're a senior vice president of the Aspen Institute. Executive vice president of the Aspen Institute, and you have been our role model, mentor, and great supporter, so thank you to you as well. And a special thank you to Cordell, Luis, Katie, the whole Socrates team. Thank you for being what you are. We could thank a lot of other folks, but I just want to say a special thank you to Gary's dad, Leonard. He's not here with us this evening. He and Judy were here for ideas. They were going to try to stay, but they couldn't. But what I can tell you is he's with us in spirit in every way, and he bought tables tonight. Many of you were sitting at them, and he's one of our greatest supporters, so we are so grateful to Leonard as well. Okay, we have such a lineup for you this evening. There are so many fantastic people who are going to be speaking to you, so we'll stop. And I think we're handing it over to Jim Crown, who is going to introduce our speaker tonight. Thanks again for all being here.
One more thing. Keep eating while they're talking, otherwise you'll starve.
Good evening. I'm Jim Crown, and on behalf of my fellow trustees at the Aspen Institute, I want to welcome everyone here tonight. I'm not introducing a speaker, I'm introducing our honorees, which is a real thrill, but I have to pause for a minute. When I joined the Aspen Institute board, the Socrates Program, still emerging, it was doing great, but there were still some rules around it. And I asked Walter Isaacson, what's the age bracket for people participating in Socrates? And his answer was, it's whatever age Laurel Lauder is plus one. And now to see this great next-gen influx of young adults participating in Socrates does make me feel a little old, but it's a wonderful thing, and thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Now, for tonight, as you have heard, Jane and Marc Nathanson, Marc, my fellow trustee, are being honored for all of their incredible support for the Institute overall, as well as the Socrates Program. We have benefited immensely from all the things they have done for us, and they've been meaningful thought partners in Socrates' work, and I understand Marc was even helping the programs before he joined the board more than a decade ago. But more specifically, the Nathanson Public Diplomacy Scholars Fund, which Jane and Marc have been generously providing for, has brought more than 30 leaders to participate in the Socrates seminar, invaluable content to have the audience from those backgrounds, and these programs, mainly public diplomacy professionals serving on the front lines in U.S. engagement worldwide, have really enriched those dialogues and those sessions. Last year, career foreign service officers, from the officers, office directors to deputy assistant secretaries, I was going to get that wrong, were in a pretty fierce debate about geopolitical negotiations where the person they were probing was none other than Secretary Madeleine Albright. What a wonderful opportunity for everyone. In addition to that, they've established the Nathanson Scholarship Fund. That's for journalists coming from Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, Radio Sawa, and others to gather at Socrates seminars tables and contend with what's going on in media relative to the burning issues of the day, and how important is that now to have people coming from media, and thanks, of course, to the Nathanson great history in media, that they're there speaking on behalf of accurate information and truth. In addition, the Nathanson Scholars have been bringing rich and nuanced perspectives to the seminar rooms for many years, and the Institute, as you know, is founded on the principles of values-based leadership, and having those people in those conversations, then going back out in the world is one of the best ways that we can be true to our mission of promoting values-based leadership and enlightened conversation. So one thing I know Laura asked for a wave. I'm going to ask for this year's Nathanson Scholars who are with us to please stand and be recognized. We are so glad to have all of you in the room with us. And with that, the most important thing I can do is ask Jane and Mark to please come up to the stage and be recognized as tonight's awardees and accept this gift and make a few remarks.
Is that?
I think we'll leave it safe there. We'll leave it safe. Okay.
I'm going to give you yours so I can put down mine. Thank you, Jim. And thank you also to Gary and Laura Lauder for co-chairing this, and to Bill and Michael Stubbs. We love you, and we're so grateful that all of you are here tonight to celebrate with us what is really a very special program that I feel can only exist in Aspen. Both the Socrates Program and the Aspen Institute stand for dialogue by diverse individuals with many different social and political views and life experiences. Mark and I strongly believe in the power of civil discourse. The thing we've loved most about living in Aspen has been becoming close friends and family with so many people who might have completely different political, religious, and social viewpoints, but the same love of humanity and family, and the innate belief that there should be justice for all. Never has there been a time when this fabulous program, started by Gary and Laura Lauder in 1996, has been more relevant. As our children look to our leaders today to role model diplomacy, they are caught in an increasingly intolerant and hostile atmosphere. If only all professionals and men and women who ascend to the highest level of leadership in the land were required to take the Socrates course and learn to respect, listen, and civilly debate, the world would be a safer and better place. Thank you. I know that in the Socrates program, you debate and discuss many different philosophers, but I thought I would leave you with some quotes from its namesake, Socrates. So he once said, "True wisdom comes to each of us when we realize how little we understand about life, ourselves, and the world around us." He also said, "There is only one good, and that is knowledge, and one evil, and that is ignorance." And finally, Socrates said, "By all means, marry. If you get a good husband or wife, you'll become happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher." So now I would like to introduce to you a man who is a big fan of the Socrates program, as you've already heard. A man I hope is my happy husband of 51 years. Where are you? I mean, Mark.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you all. Colorado is very special to me because over 50 years ago, on the first day of college as a freshman, I saw across the room a beautiful girl, and I was lucky that she was in the class the next day with me, and that was Jane. And we've been together ever since. We came to Aspen with a bunch of kids. We shared a room on Main Street. We couldn't afford any of the Crown properties. And we went skiing. Jane and I loved it so much here, we vowed if we ever got married, we'd someday have a home here. And we did. Over 20 years ago, we bought a house here, and we fell under the magical spell of the Aspen Institute and its many wonderful programs. The Aspen Institute has made our summer retreat not a vacation home, but one where our whole family, all 3 kids and all 8 grandchildren, can enjoy a lifelong learning experience with so many diverse speakers and seminars. 2 of our 3 kids are here today with their spouses. Will they just stand for a second? David, Sabina, Adam, and Lauren. To us, Aspen is all about, as Jane said, family and friends. 10 years ago, I took the Aspen Executive Seminar. I found it very meaningful and very helpful to me in my own life. When Gary and Laura told us about the Socrates Program for bright, emerging leaders, Jane and I got the idea, wouldn't this be wonderful to offer this to outstanding leaders in government? I spent 8 years in government, and I saw so many dedicated, creative people working in government, and I thought, what a beautiful program this would be to bring them to Aspen to be involved and to take part in the Socrates Program. So we're honored to do that, to bring people here who are working throughout the world for the United States government. They are selected as the best and brightest by the State Department and the Broadcasting Board of Governors. And who knows, maybe someday there'll be a future Secretary of State or President of the BBG or even President of the United States. Thank you all so much for coming. Jane and I are very grateful for the Socrates Program.